I have been working on living a more simplified, minimized, and clutter-free life for almost 3 years now, which is amazing. And I realized that there are some things that I have definitely changed my mind about as I've gained a little bit more experience, as I've lived this life a little bit longer. And some of this advice I used to give to you guys and have come up with better solutions. So today I want to share with you the things that I've kind of changed my mind about, and then also give you some real solid tips that I completely stand by and have stood by since the very beginning of this journey. Let's hop right in. I used to believe that the 1 in, 1 out rule was the only and best way to stay clutter-free. And the 1 in, 1 out rule essentially is you bring an item into your home, you declutter an item. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same category or in the same spot in your home. But it is actually good. I like this. It's just not the only way to stay clutter-free, and it only works after you've decluttered your space. So if you are going to continue to use the 1 in, 1 out rule, that applies after you've decluttered it and gotten the inventory down. But it isn't the only way. I've actually found that a monthly, even a weekly decluttering rotation works even better, because sometimes, especially if you've got more than one person living in your home, it's hard to keep track of the items that are coming in. Your kids go to birthday parties in school, you've got holidays, birthdays. It's hard to keep track of these items, especially when you have a family. So I've discovered that a weekly or a monthly decluttering rotation works even better. I used to recommend to you to have a keep box. This is a box of items that you're essentially putting on hold that you're going to think about. So if you're going through the decluttering process and you hold up an item that you're just not sure about, you can put it in the box. And at first I said keep it in there for 6 months. Then I changed it. I said that's way too long. Keep it in there for 3. And now I recommend not even having one of these boxes at all. I find that it just stalls your decluttering progress, and the best way to make progress in your home and start reaping the benefits and the rewards of living more clutter-free is to get this stuff out of your house. Plus, it helps you build these muscles even faster. If it's not a clear yes, it's a clear no. I grabbed that from Dawn from the Minimal Mom. She's amazing. But I find that it just requires more energy to have to make the decision twice, and you generally end up not keeping the items anyway. All right, I also used to recommend that you keep an extra of pretty much everything. An extra pair of scissors, an extra phone charger, an extra set of sheets, extra towels, extra toys. Pretty much in every single category, I would recommend having one extra. I've actually limited that down, and I don't recommend you have an extra of everything. I only recommend having an extra of things that are easily broken or that you need to replace often. So for me, a phone charger actually still falls in this category. I don't know why, and I think it must be because I travel sometimes and phone chargers get left behind. So that one actually makes sense. They break, but an extra pair of scissors doesn't necessarily make tons of sense to me. Make it make sense to you, but only have extra of items that are easily broken or things that you just really need to have one in a separate part of the house. I also recommend that you do have an extra set of measuring cups and spoons for the holidays when you've got people coming and helping you in the kitchen and you just need extra. I have this in my seasonal bin, and I only bring it out once a year. It's in with my Christmas decor. That makes sense to me, and that's kind of the whole point. Make it make sense to you, but you don't have to have one extra of everything. I do not have an extra set of sheets. I don't have extras of things in general, and it is really, really, really nice when trying to live more clutter-free. I talked about this one recently, but I feel like it bears repeating. I used to recommend decluttering with a box or having a donatable donation box that you threw things into. Here's the problem. I don't always have a box. And if I don't always have a box, then you probably don't always have a box. I recommend using bags. You can get, I don't know, 50, 75 bags in a box at the grocery store. And I recommend getting 2 colors, black for the things that you're donating and white for the garbage. This just makes it really clear when you're sorting your items, where the items go, and black just so that you can't see into it and your family can't see into it. It keeps you from second guessing and going back and pulling stuff out. So use 2 separate colored bags and kind of forget the box altogether, unless you have tons of boxes all the time. I just don't. The way that I decluttered when I first got started on this process or in this journey was I would pull everything out at once. So say I was decluttering my bedroom closet. I would actually pull everything out of an area and I would turn it into a huge pile. Essentially a huge mess. I am someone who's easily overwhelmed, so I learned that this does not work great for me, because if I get interrupted, if I have to stop, if I just lose steam and have to put the project on pause, I am now surrounded by mess and clutter, and that is just the opposite of motivating. Instead, go in with your 2 bags, your white and your black, and start with garbage. Just start throwing stuff away. That way, if you get interrupted and you have to stop, you have made absolute progress. It's visible, it's measurable, your space looks better, it feels better, and it's just not overwhelming. So instead of bringing the mess out into your main living space, try to go into the messy area as much as you can. So if this is a pantry, try and go into it. Do 1 bin at a time instead of an entire shelf. Do 1 drawer of your clothes instead of the entire dresser. If that makes sense, it's just a better way to do it, especially if you don't have large chunks of time where you can dedicate an hour, 2, 3 at once to completing the project start to finish. So don't make a big pile. My recommendation is to take it really in smaller chunks or really slowly and just chip away at it and relocate things as you go and get rid of that trash. Now let's talk about some tips that I still to this day highly recommend and things that I still stick by 3 years into this process. And that is number 1, do not declutter your spouse's stuff. I cannot tell you how many comments I've gotten asking me how to get your spouse to declutter or how to declutter their things. The best way that I have found to do this is to just lead the way, lead by example. Your spouse will see how much better your side of the closet looks. Your spouse will see how much happier you are, how much less time you're spending cleaning around the house, and it will just be motivating in and of itself. You cannot make these decisions for your spouse, for another adult. A child, I have a little bit of a different opinion. Kids sometimes need help, but when it comes to your spouse or whoever you might be living with that's an adult, I do not recommend decluttering any of their things. Just lead the way. I also continue to believe that it is best to start with the easiest items first. So this would be garbage, broken items, things that are non-sentimental and that are incredibly obvious, like toys your kids haven't played with or clothing that you haven't worn in a very long time, more than a year. Pretty much anything you haven't used in the last year, I think is obvious clutter and can get out of your house. So I still recommend that you start with these easy items first, not the sentimental bins in your basement and attic, not your baby clothes, nothing like that. So start there, start with easy items, obvious items, and work your way up to a little bit more difficult items, things that you might use in the future or things that are sentimental. Just like my advice on decluttering like weekly or monthly, this kind of goes along with my next piece of advice that I completely still stand by, and that is to declutter your home in layers. I went through and probably did roughly six passes through my house before I felt satisfied. Like, okay, this is so good. This is feeling really calm to me. I'm not spending, 2 hours a day cleaning. I'm spending 30 minutes. Kind of that was my goal. So you're going to go through your house. I recommend this and just do pass after pass after pass and peel it away layer by layer. And this could be garbage is layer number 1, broken items, layer number 2. You're going to kind of move through your house this way. I found it to be the easiest, the least painful, the quickest way to build these muscles, and it just helps things stay the way they are. It's like you don't want to re-clutter an area that you've already gone over 3 times. You're pretty dedicated to that space in your home and you don't want to clutter it up again, so you become more mindful. So I think it's really, really good. Instead of taking an entire weekend and saying, I'm going to declutter the entire house top to bottom, you're actually going to say, I'm going to do a pass through my house and I'm going to spend this amount of time, maybe an hour, doing it. I think that's just so much more efficient. I also still recommend having a permanent donation spot. Mine has had different locations throughout these few years. One location was the top of the basement stairs, another was in the garage, and then I even had one at the top of the stairs inside my home. And I use laundry hampers. I find that these are just large, easy to carry, easy to haul in and out of your car, and easy to dump at the donation centers. I feel like sometimes we stall because we don't know where things go, and we might even stall getting rid of something because we just don't have a clear place for it to go. That place is in the donation pile or in the bin or in the bag. So have a permanent place. Otherwise, it becomes really easy to let these items just sit in your home and it just doesn't get you anywhere. So have a clear donation spot and let your family know where it is so that they can help you with the process. Is there anything that you used to do or a motto that you used to live by when it came to decluttering your space or living more clutter-free that you just don't really stand by anymore? Let me know in a comment and what you do instead. I think that'd be really helpful for all of us. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe on your way out and I will see you soon. Bye.